What's up, everyone? It's Cody with MoneyVest. So this is going to be your daily market updates, and of course, we did have a little bit of a rebound for the S&P, for the NASDAQ, and for the Dow Jones this week after starting off the first week of 2024 not on the best foot, because we did have a little bit of a pullback. Year to date, I think the markets are still slightly down so far in 2024. So hope you all enjoyed this video and find it helpful. As always, make sure that you drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're just joining us for the first time. I would really appreciate that. And link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining. Of course, getting access to all the members-only private videos. There's over 45 plus videos that you can watch, tutorials and lectures, educational videos on options trading, fundamental analysis, and technical analysis as well. And also check out the Patreon and Discord link down below if you're interested in joining. And of course, getting access to all the buy and sell alerts, options alerts, trade ideas, everything's going to be included. We've been selling options on Tesla, on Enphase, and a lot of different companies which have been expiring almost out of the money, 70% profit, 55% profit, 60% profit. And I've been sending out alerts for emerging markets as well. So I did pick up a lot of shares for Indian stocks, which you can also find in the trade alerts. Picked up 50,000 rupees worth of stocks with LT, which is Larsen Toubro, Reliance, IDFC Bank, Mindtree. A lot of these companies we've done analysis on. And again, links going to be down below for getting access to all of this. And of course, you know that I picked up Cyber ETF, CIBR, which has done really well over the last 5 days. You'll notice it's seen a very nice move to the upside from lows of about 50s back up to over $55 per share. So a nice 10% move back higher for CIBR ETF. So again, links going to be down below. We'd love to have you on board. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So market's basically flat on Friday, Dow Jones, S&P, and the NASDAQ. I think Monday the markets are going to be closed in observance of Martin Luther King. So it is an extended weekend here for us over in the US for trading-wise. And this right here was a report that basically went over some deflationary items when it comes to specific categories. As we already know that CPI did come in a little bit hotter than expected. PPI numbers came in somewhat better than what the expectations were. But once we look at some of the more consumer categories, you'll notice that eggs, lettuce, tomatoes, apples, breakfast sausages, we got cheese, butter, frozen fish, plus seafood, potatoes, fresh whole milk, roasted coffee. A lot of these did decline on a year-over-year basis, but overall, food is still up on a year-over-year basis. Energy really pulling its weight when it comes to the deflation sort of narrative, because fuel, oil, and gasoline service definitely did see double-digit declines year-over-year, 14 to 13.8% respectively. And all items less food and energy, so core CPI, we did see airline fares, televisions, car, truck rentals, laundry equipment, men's suits, sports coats, and outerwear. And we've got toys, girls' apparel, educational book supplies, computers, everything did decline on a year-over-year basis. So we are seeing progress, but it is coming in at a much slower pace, especially when you consider core inflation is still almost twice as much as the Fed's target right now. So this right here was another really, really interesting report. Stock market near records as dream of interest rate cuts refuses to die. And that is true, because right now we do still have 6 rate cuts priced in for 2024, despite the hotter than expected inflation print from Thursday and somewhat better than expected PPI numbers on Friday. So we are still very optimistic. The market, in other words, is very optimistic that the Federal Reserve is going to indeed cut rates at least 6 times, if not more. And we actually did a poll in our community. So we had a little bit over 200 votes. And I think majority of people are also expecting for the Federal Reserve to cut rates at least 6 times, if not more. Now, this right here was Rosenberg's research and analysis and a client note. And they mentioned that in a multiple client notes this week, Rosenberg said that his models point to a poor performance for the S&P 500 moving forward. In fact, the model says the outlook for stocks is just about as weak as it gets. And this right here is from back in end of December 2022. So this was end of December 2022. So of course, the fundamentals, the technicals were really good. And as a result, 2023 was very solid when it comes to the bull market that we've seen in the last 1 year. And end of November 2023, we started to weaken. We were at 29. Whatever, I'm really not sure how they calculate these numbers, but currently they say it's 0.0. So basically they're saying it's about as weak as it gets from a equity standpoint, from an S&P 500 standpoint. This is end of December 2023, so literally about last month. This number was hitting 0, basically underweight equities is what they were mentioning. And this right here is the US equity model historical values, similar setup to how 2022 began And this is where we currently are according to Rosenberg, which means that we need to be underweight equities according to them, because that's going to result in weak returns. Forward returns are going to be weaker from the S&P 500. So they do take into account current valuations, investor sentiment, market technicals, investor positioning, and macro fundamentals as well. And they are suggesting for us to be underweight equities, which again, take it with a grain of salt, as we know that there's no way to time the market. There's no way to precisely predict how well equities are going to do. But as we have learned that over longer time frames, we're talking 10, 15, 20 years out, equities tend to perform really well. And the probability of losing money if you are invested for 15 plus years is almost near zero, right? There's over 99.8% probability that you make money if you've got a time horizon of over 15 years that's backed by statistics and data as well. And they also break down the Shiller PE ratio, which is over 32.6 inflation adjusted. And of course, the average is going to be around 16 to 24. So certainly we are trading at a much more of an expensive valuation, which I do somewhat agree with, because 28, 29 times earnings multiple is certainly high for the S&P 500. And this right here is going to be that fear and greed index, which of course is right now at greed at 70. It has pulled back a little bit from that extreme greed what we have seen over the last couple of weeks as well. So markets did pull back, and then now they're starting to rebound back higher. So this is what the heat map looks like. Microsoft up another 1%. Google here up 40 basis points. Meta up 1.3. Continues to hit a new 52-week high. So very, very strong move for Meta. Tesla here did drop a little bit over 3.6% on Friday on the back of Hertz, on the back of unionization and raising pay, and a lot of other catalysts that are hurting Tesla stock right now. And this right here, again, is the entire market. So a little bit of a flat day for the overall indices, but energy, real estate, utilities, comm services, all pushing higher, with financials and cyclicals pulling back. In the last 1 week, of course, we've had technology and comm services and defensives pushing up, with financials, materials, utilities, and energy pulling back. And over the last 1 month, of course, all 11 sectors are green and pushing higher as well. Over the last 1 day, natural gas, silver prices, volatility, gold, crude oil, everything pushing up, with copper prices, wheat, corn, coffee, and oats pulling back. And this right here is Bitcoin just a little bit over 43,000 and Ether just over 2,500 as well. So that's where we are. Volatility continues to be a little bit more muted. And this right here is where it's trading inside this red rectangle at the moment, between 11 and 12. As we have already talked about, that volatility will eventually give us buying opportunities. It will create those discount windows for us to dollar cost average a little bit more aggressively, more heavily, and start to turn that dial where we can be more aggressive and start deploying cash. But right now is not the time, at least not for me. So what I'm personally doing is simply sitting back, enjoying these gains, and at the same time selling calls to generate some cash flow and some premiums as well. So right now, VIX continues to be pretty muted at a little bit under 13 inside this red rectangle. So we got to be cautious. Cautiously optimistic is where I'm at with the markets right now. Crude oil continues to be a little bit more flat, consolidating sideways, and it's at support. It's just been moving sideways somewhere between $70 and $73 a barrel. That's where it has been over the last several days. So this right here, again, is going to be that support, resistance, and targets all the way up to $81 a barrel. And support level is going to stay put at $66, $67 a barrel for crude oil. So lots of consolidation sideways at those prices for crude. Going over to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin here, once again, seeing a little bit of that momentum higher, but then it's now starting to pull right back down. 43,000 is where it's at. So it did see a pretty significant dump, kind of like that buy the news, buy the rumor, sell the news type deal, where as soon as the 11 ETFs were passed and they started trading, and it was pretty quick. So spot ETFs now are trading, and we saw a significant decline of over 7, almost 8% for Bitcoin, back down to 43,000. So lots of consolidation sideways. This is a resistance. It is an area of rejection where Bitcoin is getting rejected at $48,000, $49,000, $51,000. We'll continue to monitor whether it breaks out above this level or it continues to get rejected at these prices. Ethereum, once again, seeing a little bit of a breakout to the upside, not as significant of a pullback as Bitcoin. So lots of consolidation sideways right now, and this is going to be the new support for Ether, somewhere between 2,000 and 2,100. So this right here is going to be that level to keep in mind for Ethereum at around $2,100 for this crypto. Now going over to the 10-year yields, this right here is the overall yield market. In other words, the treasuries and of course other interest rates as well. The mortgage rates have been coming down. They're now sitting at 6.66%, and the 15-year US mortgages sitting now sub 6%. They've come a long way from 7% and over 8%. And this right here are the other treasuries, where we are seeing the 1-year yielding just a little bit under 5%. And the 20-year is now 4.288%. So we have seen a little bit of that uninversion in the yield curve. 20-year and 30-year now sitting back over 4%, 2-year sitting at 4.1, and the US 10-year treasuries are sitting at 3.94. So if you come over to this, we're only negative 20 basis points, only 20 basis points left for this uninversion to take place. So we're very, very close for the yield spread, the treasury spreads to turn back positive, and for the yield curve to once again uninvert, which is going to happen after a lot of months, 12 to 18 months it's taken us to get back to those levels. Now going back over to the S&P 500 and of course the markets, this right here is going to be the SPX, seeing a little bit of consolidation sideways, so very, very flat day for S&P on Friday. Resistance going to stay put at 4,800. That's going to be in line with that all-time high and support level at 47.27, all the way down to 4,600. Very nice, consistent move up. There is a little bit of that negative divergence. So once again, got to be very careful with this entire move up. And again, I'm cautiously optimistic in this market rally right now. Talking about the NASDAQ, same thing, a little bit of that negative divergence. And at the same time, coming up to that resistance at 15,100. to 15,400. So lots of consolidation sideways and that resistance for NASDAQ over there, and support level is going to stay put inside this green rectangle over here for the NASDAQ. So it's just been moving sideways right now. And like I said, resistance 15.1 to 15.4. Support level is going to stay put at 14.4 to 14.6, all the way down to as low as 13,800. And of course, that 200 simple moving average for the NASDAQ as well. Talking about Apple, and Apple here also bouncing right back up. So we're seeing a little bit of that momentum coming back in with the RSI and the MACD also showing some signs of that potential rebound. Resistance going to stay put at 190. So this right here is going to be that level to watch, all the way up to 198, close to $200 per share. So we're bouncing off of that 200 simple moving average. That's exactly why I've taken a swing trade on Apple. RSI and MACD also looking pretty solid at the moment for Apple as well. Talking about Amazon, and Amazon here also moving up slowly and steadily, but of course coming up to that resistance at closer on $154 per share, and support level is going to stay put around $140. So this right here is going to be that level, and right now we're seeing a little bit of that resistance and rejection at close to 155, 154 at the moment for Amazon. Talking a little bit about Tesla, and Tesla here continues to see a little bit of that weakness and selling off, and support level is going to stay put 212 down to $196. So low 200s is going to be for Tesla. That's really where we are. Resistance all the way up to $269, $270 per share, and now it's starting to get really, really oversold. So I did a video on Tesla. Definitely do check that out if you haven't already. It gives a little bit more of a detailed overview of what Tesla is doing, why it's selling off so aggressively, and of course what I'm planning to do with this stock at the moment. So low 200s inside this green rectangle is where the support level is going to be. Now going over to PayPal, so PYPL. And PayPal here also selling off a little bit over 0.5%. Just a bit of a weak day on Friday for PayPal. Support level is going to stay put at $56, $57 with a resistance all the way up to $65 per share for PayPal. And of course, Visa right now also kind of hitting up to its higher high, that resistance that we've talked about. And that right there is going to be a very, very important level to watch for Visa as a resistance, and support level is going to stay put at $245 down to $250 per share. So inside this green rectangle, very important levels to keep in mind. NVDA, on the other hand, continues to be very, very strong. I mean, we are still trading at an all-time high at $547, $550. And this right here is going to be that support level to watch for NVIDIA. So very strong support, of course, very overbought on the RSI and MACD as well. So got to be super careful with where it ends up trading moving forward, because of course from a long trade perspective, not that favorable. From a valuation perspective, not that favorable. It's really just the sentiment, the momentum that's kind of driving the stock price higher and higher to almost a $1.4 trillion market cap. Advanced Micro Devices, on the other hand, also seeing a bit of a pullback, and resistance is going to stay put right over here, something that we have discussed in our previous videos at close to $150. Support level is going to stay put at close to $130 per share, $130, $131 as we have already discussed in our previous videos. And again, a lot of consolidation sideways for AMD at the moment, with of course the RSI also showing a little bit of that negative divergence kind of forming in with very strong support levels. There are two levels to watch. One is going to be that 200 SMA at 112, and the other one's going to be this right here at close to low 100s for Advanced Micro Devices. Talking about Meta Platforms, and Meta here continues to charge higher to a new 52-week high, 377. It's almost back up to its all-time high here at $383. So this recovery has been nothing short of extraordinary for Meta Platforms. I mean, it has rallied from low $80 a share to back up to all-time high, so 300+% gain for Meta over the years, over the last couple of years, and has just done an incredible job kind of showing Wall Street that it's still one of the top companies out there when it comes to technology, when it comes to advertising, and of course, just kept getting back up to almost that $1 trillion market cap as well. Talking about Netflix, and Netflix here also seeing a little bit of a pullback intraday, but on the day, again, very, very flat. So this is going to be that higher high and higher low. And support level is going to stay put right over here at 485 to 492. So that is going to be that support level to keep in mind for Netflix. So this old resistance is now starting to turn into a new support for Netflix at the moment. Talking about Google. And Google here also just consolidating sideways, up a little bit over 40 basis points. So this right here inside this green rectangle is going to be that support level to watch for Google, and it continues to move back up. And we did see a little bit of a rising wedge pattern for Google before, and then it started to sell right back down. And this right here kind of feels a very similar pattern where, once again, it's kind of making a little bit of that rising wedge again. So what we witnessed before was a rising wedge over here, then a breakdown, then a retest, and sell off even further. And once again, now we're seeing that rising wedge pattern again. So if you do end up, let's say, breaking down below that support, much stronger support is going to stay put at 126, kind of in line with that 200 simple moving average over there as well. And finally, we got Microsoft, Enphase, and Costco. Microsoft here with yet another breakout over 1%, $388, so almost getting up to $2.9 trillion. Apple, in fact, might be a little bit lower now. Apple is 2.892. So Microsoft might actually be the largest, like the most valued company in the world, publicly traded company in the world very soon if Apple doesn't pick it up. And this right here is going to be that support level to watch for Microsoft, of course, all the way down to 366. We're seeing a very nice break to the upside to almost a new all-time highs for Microsoft once again. And finally, we got Enphase and Costco, CENPH and Costco. Enphase down a little bit over 3%, 3.5%. And as we discussed, there is going to be some weakness with respect to where interest rates are. Support level is going to stay put here at about $108. And once again, in my opinion, it is coming down to that low 100s, which we did discuss. Considering how overbought the RSI was, it was only a matter of time where it starts to pull right back down. So this is not surprising. This is not something to be afraid of. But of course, the price is taking a little bit of a breather before, in my opinion, making that next move back up. So support level is going to stay put down in the low 100s. And finally, Costco. Man, Costco has been incredible stock here. I mean, just parabolic move to the upside, consolidation sideways a little bit, then a huge breakout back up. And there is a pretty significant negative divergence forming right now for Costco. So it's just been an absolutely incredible rally. And on a weekly time frame, it's just about as overbought as it gets at over 81, 82 RSI. Just be very careful trading on the long side for Costco, considering how significantly it has rallied and it's moved up in the last several weeks. So hope you all enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure that you drop a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're just joining us for the first time, again, links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining, and of course getting access to all the members only private videos. You will be able to watch all the tutorials, educational videos on options, fundamentals, and technicals, as well as getting trade alerts, buy and sell alerts. Everything's going to be included. And also do connect with me on Instagram. My handle is going to be CastWRP. Link's going to be down below. So always happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.